Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rank 'Em. This is going to be a fun one today. We're talking about horror remakes this time, and it got a bunch of great people. Over here, we've got Greg. Greg, how's it going?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Doing good. Also over here, we've got Steve. Steve, how's it going?
I'm doing very well. I really looking forward to doing this County Bound remakes, watching certain movies over a number of days, and I'm ready to shock some people with some of my choices that I'm about to make.
And also here we've got Chad and Kerry. Whoever speaks first can.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. When it's good, I love me a good horror remake. So let's see what people think.
But with that being said, how the show works is we're each going to go around and nominate a movie we think belongs on a top 12 list, and then all the rest of the panel will say yes or no to it. If it gets majority of the yeses, then it makes the list, and then at the end we rank that list. But Greg, I'm going to go to you first. What is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Right. I'm gonna throw one out here. I'm gonna go with The Evil Dead. So obviously it'd be The Evil Dead would have been the original one, and then the 2014 remake
13.
or 2013.
Steve, what do you say about the Evil Dead remake?
I definitely have to agree with Greg over here. He definitely made a fine choice to kick this list off for sure. Small little story. I actually met Fede Alvarez for press for Evil Dead. So I'm definitely going to have to definitely agree with that one. And I will say better than the first one.
Correct.
I definitely agree better than the first one. Now, if we talk about two, that's a whole different story. But definitely better than the first one. And I have a movie that I'm going to talk about very soon that I say might be as good, maybe better. But I definitely agree Evil Dead should be on the list.
Chad, what do you think about Evil Dead?
Yeah, I saw this one in the theater. I enjoyed it, but then like every single watch after, it's gotten worse for me. I entirely disagree wholeheartedly that it's better than any of the Sam Raimi ones. But I do like how they set this one up with a lot of the practical effects. Like they really actually tried to make a decent film here. And I think this one's pretty great, pretty scary a lot of the times. I could have done without some of like the story that they tried to actually add in there. Like, I don't think that's necessary, but yeah, no, it's a good remake. So I would say yes.
Kerry, what do you say about Evil Dead?
I 100% say yes. I love this movie. It goes back and forth for me whether I love this one or The Evil Dead more. But yeah, 100% love this movie.
I really love the remake of Evil Dead. It's an easy yes for me. And yeah, I do like it more than the original Evil Dead, but I'm still undecided on where it stands with Evil Dead 2 because I like them both just the same. But Evil Dead makes the list. And Steve, we go to you. What is the next movie you're going to bring up?
The next movie is a movie I actually just finished watching today, and it's the remake to Night of the Living Dead from 1990, directed by the one and only Tom Savini. Guys, this had Tony fucking Todd in it as Ben. It also has Patricia Tallman as a much better version than Barbara, and Bill fucking Moseley as his brother. They're
Chop Top himself.
Exactly. And this story is shorter, I believe. I believe the original movie is like at 100 minutes. This is 84, and it takes a lot of that comatose Barbara version in the 60s version. It kicks that up a notch because you're in the 90s, and we want kick-ass feminine heroes in this movie. And the gore's top notch. You have Tom Tolles as Harry Cooper at his worst, and I'm gonna say it. I think this might be better this might be as good or even better than the original one. Now I know politics all aside, it was groundbreaking. Yes, it was one of the first movies that featured the zombies that are currently used today. Yes, but this has stronger characters. This has better action, and I think the script. I think Savini did a hell of a notch to almost match with Romero. So I'm going to put Night of the Living Dead 1990.
Chad, what do you say about Night of the Living Dead 1990?
I mean, I can say that like with something like this, like it feels like, I don't know, it's probably not like, well, I can't actually bring up other ones, but I do love the original so much. I think that's a masterpiece. I don't know how you improve on that and why, like, you know, I think that's one I think that you just shouldn't touch personally.
Oh, they actually had a good reason for touching.
Okay, well then you can expand on that, but I haven't seen it, so I can't say it.
Kiri, what do you say about Night of the Living Dead 1990?
We haven't seen that one either. We didn't get around to watching it. I have actually heard good things about it. I'm sure with Tom Savini there, like Steve said, I'm sure the gore is like totally amazing. And I look forward to watching it soon.
Yeah, unfortunately, I also haven't seen it. But yeah, it's definitely one I was looking to check out. I just hadn't got around to finding it. Greg, have you seen Night of the Living Dead 1990?
Absolutely. It was good. To me, the Dawn of the Dead was the best of the three originals. This was a good remake. I just don't think it's good enough to beat some of the movies that should get into this list.
Well,
I'm gonna have to. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just that there's so many good remakes. Like, it's not a bad remake by any stretch of the means, but there's so many good ones that should get in front of it.
Also, does it help that 3 of the people didn't see it? I'm just saying.
Yeah, that doesn't help either. But I would have been going now on it surely because there's better. What I feel there should be better to get in.
Chad, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and bring up one that I think is probably one of the greatest horror movies I've ever seen. One that came out a couple years ago. I think this should have been, because there's not a lot of horror movies that get nominated for Best Picture, but I think this one was a serious snub for that. It's 2020's The Invisible Man. I thought, Elizabeth Moss was incredible in this. I love the themes of domestic abuse and just like that kind of always hanging around you, and that tied in so brilliantly with the Invisible Man character. And I think the way they did that and showed it more of kind of like a science fiction type of vibe. I thought it was like the way they showed that was really cool. The scares really great. But even just the tension that they built in that movie, like when there's not even a lot of scares happening, there's still a lot of tension, and you're always waiting for something to happen. I think that was done so brilliantly. Lee Winnell is one of my favorite filmmakers now, so The Invisible Man.
Kiri, what do you say about 2020's The Invisible Man?
Yeah, definitely agree with this one. I think this was maybe my favorite horror film of that year. So terrifying, but also I think just as a movie, even like not as just a horror movie, but as a movie, I think this was incredible. Just the themes it touched on. Definitely say yes to this one.
Yeah. I mean, this is one that I came to pretty relatively late myself. Like, I'd only watched it sort of early in the year for the first time. But it's one of those ones like whether or not it should have been nominated for Best Picture. I don't think so. I think what the ones that were nominated are still better. But I didn't hate this. I also didn't love it as much as everyone else either. But I'm still going to say yes to it just because, like, it's still in the area on my personal list of where I'm happy to say yes to it. So, Greg, what do you say about The Invisible Man from 2020?
I hated it. The only thing I thought was really slick about this was the suit with all the cameras on it. That was the only thing I liked from this movie. I hated the characters. I couldn't get into anything to do with it. So it would have been a no from me.
Steve, what do you say about The Invisible Man from 2020?
Oh yeah, that's a hell yeah, dude. I saw this movie. This was the last movie I saw before the world went to shit. So seeing it, and I also saw it not in the state of Florida. I saw it in Richmond, Virginia, while I was at a convention. So just watching it opening day at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's just that's just it's a good movie to just wake you up when you're feeling a little sleepy. So it's like, yeah, jolts you up. Now, as far as Best Picture nomination, I kind of disagree. It shouldn't have been for Best Actress. Elizabeth Moss.
Definitely.
That one, it was the biggest snub of the year for that one. Definitely, that should have been. Elizabeth Moss was delivering all 4 cylinders on this movie. Greg mentioned it. The suit itself was a hell of an invention, and I love Lee Wan. He just keeps getting better and better with each film Lee Wan L's doing. So I can't wait to see what he does next. And you just got to say the restaurant scene.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if the Invisible Man came out late in the year because I think part of that was the whole mix, like extending that award season a little bit as well. That I think had they still had a December cutoff for that award season, I think it might have actually snuck in just because of the quality of movies that actually came out in 2020.
Well, to be fair, if I may say so on behalf of Universal, since I don't actually get paid by them, but this did come out around the same time Get Out came out in the same release pattern. So it's just a matter of people's taste and all that other jazz and how much in the zeitgeist that this movie was at the time.
Yeah, no, what? Yeah, no, I know that. No, what I was meaning is for this award season, they had extended it to that first part of 2021.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I missed that part. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about Oscars. That's one of our other shows. But Chad, what is the next? No, Kerry, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
So I'm going to bring up I think one we can hopefully all agree on, but just want to make sure it makes this list. And that's The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, not the 2011 or whatever one, but John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
This is just, I think, one of the best horror movies of all time. The story is simple, but it's terrifying. The special effects are amazing. They still hold up incredibly today. This is just one of my favorite ones to throw on and watch.
Yeah, this is easily a yes for me. This is actually giving me the first one I was going to bring up myself. But yeah, The Thing is just one of those ones. I know we're probably going to get a lot of people in the comments going, "This is a science fiction movie. It's sci-fi horror. It still comes under both." But Greg, what do you say about The Thing from 1982?
This is the best remake of any film ever. Simple. There's nothing better. There's no remake better than this. So it's a resounding yes for me. And as for it not being a horror film, that's an absolute load of lies. It's 100% a horror film.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't saying it was. I just know we're going to get.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Yeah,
saying it's more science fiction than horror, but movies can be more than one genre. People.
Yeah.
But Steve, what do you say about The Thing from 1980?
Yes, and yes. I mean, God, McGrady, the blood sample test. There's so much iconic scenes going on. The first time that they encountered the Thing, when they get one of their friends for the first time with the flamethrower. I mean, geez, it's a fucking
the dog,
the diabetes guy's going crazy in the shed. So Wilford Brimley, that's what it was.
The dogs, that scene with the dogs.
That's hard. It was heartbreaking, especially as someone who really loves dogs. Like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. So yeah, man, for sure, best. Carpenter's masterpiece.
And Chad, what would you have said about The Thing?
Yeah, I mean, like just to touch on the whole genre classification thing, people try to put horror into a really tiny box, and I just don't understand that. The thing is definitely a horror film, science fiction film. Like you said, it can be multiple things, and it's definitely a great, great film. While I still prefer John Carpenter's Halloween to this one, it's just very narrowly because this one is also so great. Like he's just such a great filmmaker, and he really took a film that he loved. I mean, he featured like the first one in the Halloween. That's what they were watching, and then to go on to see him make his own version of that is just absolutely incredible. Just like you guys have named a lot of the great scenes. Also, the one that really unnerves me all the time is the spider head thing that happens.
Brilliant.
That they just like blow away with the torch, and I'm just like, oh my god. And then I think somebody says like, "What the fuck" or something like that when they see it. And I'm like,
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, the thing is fantastic. Great pick. Yes.
But yeah, so but that for my first one, I'm going to go for one which I'm not too sure how this is going to go, because I think this is a very divisive movie. But look, this is one I actually watched for the first time in preparation for this. It's Keanu Reeves' Knock Knock. It's a remake of the 1977 movie called Death Game, in which these two girls break into this rich person's house and sort of does a whole lot of horrific stuff to the house and makes this guy out to be something that he's not, and like it's a really creepy movie. And it's also actually the first English language movie that Ana de Armas was in, which I did not recognize her at first. It wasn't until I looked at the cast, I was like, wait, that's her. But yeah, I I mean, this was a really interesting movie. It's one that I didn't expect to sort of enjoy as much as I did, but I think this is a really like the actual horror of it is actually really creepy. It's like a lot of the stuff they do is just really just out there. But yeah, Greg, what do you say about Knock Knock?
I actually didn't know it was a remake. I'd read somewhere that it was, and then I couldn't find an original one that it was even based on or loosely based on. So it didn't even come into my list. I just thought the movie was okay. It's probably one that I'd watch once and not go again. I think there's far better that could make this list. I'm gonna go with no.
Yep. Steve, what do you say about Knock Knock?
Didn't see it.
Um, Chad, what do you say about Knock Knock?
Yeah, I'll also keep it pretty short. I also didn't see this one.
What about you, Kiri?
Me either. I didn't realize this was a remake. Otherwise, we might have tried to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, like it's the original movie is called Death Game, so that's probably why a lot of people don't realize it's a remake, because the movie's a different title. But yeah, but it's all right. But if that we go back to Greg, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Right. Well, on the list that I had, number one was The Thing on it. I know I went with Evil Dead because I wanted to get Evil Dead in. So I'm gonna go with The Hills Have Eyes here. The remake of 2004, I do believe.
Yes, 2005.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Hills Have Eyes. That it was a remake of Wes Craven's early movies. About a family that go backpacking, or well, this one isn't backpacking. This one's camping across Las Vegas in the deserts, and they're attacked by mutant family or inbred family. I think this is actually better than the original. Alejandro Aria was absolutely spot on in the way he made this.
Steve, what do you say about The Hills Have Eyes?
It is for me. It is a decent remake. I really do like the touch that Aja brings in for this movie. It is definitely better than the original movie. But I have movies that are on my list that are higher and that are better movies. So I will have to pass and say no.
Chad, what do you say about the Halls Have Eyes from 2006?
I mean, I'm actually a fan of Alexandra Aja. I like Crawl a lot. I unfortunately haven't seen this one, but I will say that I think the original Wes Craven film is good. Definitely not one of his absolute best. But I really want to check this one out.
This one's on Disney Plus if you have it.
I doubt it's on my Disney Plus, but maybe.
I mean, yeah, for you, it's probably Hulu or something like that. But
Probably,
yeah, for outside of the States, it's
Part of the bundle. It's part of the Splatterpunk bundle that they're offering right now. You know.
But Kerry, what do you say about the Halls Have Eyes from 2006?
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen this one either. I do really like Alexandra Aja as a filmmaker, though, so definitely going to put this on my list to watch.
Yeah. So unfortunately, if that is not going to make the list, I would have been with you, Greg. I would have said yes. Like I do like this movie.
It's okay.
I mean, this is this is one that, like, when you look at the cast list, they really like not a lot of those names actually stand out. Like the only one I think most people know is Emily DeRaven, who was Belle on Once Upon a Time and Claire from Lost and all that. But one thing I just found is it's also got the guy that played Pyro in the X-Men movies as well.
Aaron Sanford, and it also had Kathleen Quinlan and Ted Levine, aka Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs.
Has Michael Bailey Smith as well, who played Super Freddy in Nightmare 4.
Robert Downey as well.
Yeah. But yeah, with that we move on. Steve, what is the next one you're going to bring up?
So many people. Should I go with the obvious one that I know everybody's going to like, or should I go with the one that probably nobody's seen? I am going to go with the obvious one because I want to at least get one of my films on the board here. So, so guys, we're talking about remakes. We already mentioned one obvious. I mean, we're going to have the second obvious choice. And I got two words for you. Jeff Goldblum. The fucking Fly. Cronenberg's motherfucking masterpiece. Gina Davis in her most heartbreaking. This is her best. Goldblum and Gina Davis never hit any higher in their performances, in my opinion. I mean, people will say Thelma and Louise. Some people will say Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park for other reasons. So we won't divulge into that, but we'll move on. The effects, the story of man trying to create science and obviously backfiring on him, and just the effects are still top notch. They have not. This has aged exceptionally well for the special effects, and like I said, that scene is so fucking heartbreaking that it just breaks your heart for both characters. So I'm gonna go for the second obvious and say The Fly.
Chad, what do you say about The Fly?
To anyone who hasn't seen it, it is not actually called The Fucking Fly. It's just The Fly.
That might bring up a different movie.
Maybe, yeah. I have seen the original Fly. It's very, very good, but this one, it does take it up a notch with Cronenberg's excellent body horror that he has in there. I mean, that's what the man does really well. He even came out with Crimes of the Future that I still need to see. That supposedly has some more excellent body horror. But this one, excellently performed, looks great. Very, very scary with this man just slowly turning into, a thing or whatever. So it's excellent. Yes.
So just for fun, I googled The Fucking Fly, and the first thing that comes up is some YouTube video for a DJ called DJ Antron Fucking Fly. but Kerry, what do you say about The Fly?
Easy yes. This one needs to be on this list. The special effects are amazing. The story is so much more heartfelt, and the acting is so much more heartfelt than kind of what took place in the original. The original is kind of like, an interesting B movie, and this one is just an incredible masterpiece.
It's a fly, not a bee. But B movies are a completely different thing as well. But anyway,
B movie here. What?
Oh.
But yeah, anyway, but this is one that I actually rewatched this week because when I first watched it for the first time last year, I remember not liking it a lot. I still, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's David Cronenberg's masterpiece. Like, I personally really like Existence. I think that is a lot better, to be honest. But that being said, I do like The Fly. I'm still saying yes to it. Yeah. And Greg, what do you say about The Fly?
This is a clean sweep. Yes, this was number 2 on my list. I'm trying, as I said, I was trying to get smaller ones in just to flesh around. But the Thing and The Fly were 1 and 2, and I knew those 2 were going to get in, and the one that I have at 3 will surely get in as well. But if it's not picked before I get there, we'll get there to it. But yeah, clean sweep. You got it. You got this one.
I got it.
But Chad, back to you. What is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Yeah, I've been poring over a lot of these, trying to figure out which one to bring up next, and I'm like between 3, but I'll go with the one that I think was my favorite of the 3. So I'll go with I believe it was 2018's It. Yeah, I'll go with that one, or was it 2017?
17 and 18. Yeah.
2019 part 2.
Okay. Well, I'm going with part 1 because I think that's the better movie, the stuff with the kids. Bill Skarsgård is excellent as Pennywise. I know a lot of people love Tim Curry. I prefer Bill as the character, but I can see it going either way. And I know this is like a remake of like a TV movie, but I still think it counts as a legit remake. And I love all the child performances. I love that they like went there with the whole Georgie stuff at the beginning. That was like, whoa, okay, I can't believe they went there. This was like one of the highest grossing like horror films.
It is the highest grossing horror film.
Yeah, there you go. So, and I think it's just an excellent watch. It's very scary. Not just the jump scares, but like a lot of the tension that built up, like, with the one kid reading the book about the history in the school and stuff like that. It's just very, very scary to see things in the background and stuff like that. So I love this one. It.
The one thing, just before you go on there, I'd say you'd need to put 1 and 2 together there.
I'd be fine with that.
Because technically it's one movie, it's just split.
I agree.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I don't mean. I mean, it's one of those ones like we can just focus on the first one, but if you want to say yes for both of them, then that's up to you as well. Like, I'm not going to. Yeah.
I'm gonna use that rule next time. If we do talk about Tarantino movies, I'm gonna count Kill Bill as one.
That's a different. I mean, that's a different argument because there is an argument for them being combined because they were released once in theaters as
right. They did it for the whole bloody affair. Yeah.
So there is an as far as I know, as far as I know, they haven't done the same with it.
Yeah.
No, Jesus Christ, you'd be there for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Tarantino one, I think he edited some stuff out and reworked it. But anyway, Kerry, what do you say about it when you said
definitely say yes to this one. I love the original, the 1990 TV movie, but I also really love this one. I love just the modern, updated special effects on it. I think it has a lot of really great just scary parts. The kid actors in this in particular are amazing.
Especially Bev, yeah.
Yeah. I think the casting was excellent there. And it really, I think it could have, if they had made different casting choices, I think it could have, been a complete flop. I think this movie, just the story and the characters and the acting and everything, it all comes together in a really fantastic movie.
But yeah, one thing I will say is technically it's actually not the highest grossing horror movie anymore because Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is classed as horror as well. And that is higher grossing than it. But depending on which way you want to go, like, it is still second. So when it comes to this one, I really struggled with, not for the fact there was a TV movie, but when it comes to remakes, especially if the movie has its own source material as well. Like, I see them. I don't really see them as remakes. I see them as more as a different adaptation, which is to me a completely different thing. But that being said, like just because they always get lumped under remakes, and even though I don't like it too much, I'm still not going to. It still counts. Because of how people see them, I'm still saying yes. I do think the first it is great. And yeah, and I also really like the second one. But Greg, what do you say about it?
This is the one I had at number 3.
Mhm.
I I'll be honest. I didn't. I liked the first one. I didn't like the second one, and overall as a thing, I didn't like the way it was done, and a lot of it went down to me going in having loved the first one to being biased, then trying to compare it to the first one. Now don't get me wrong, the kid actors are better, the special effects are better. I thought part 2, if it didn't have Bill Hader, was an absolute terrible movie. He saved the second part. But then I went in, I sat down, I watched it again, and just tried to focus my brain on just watching the movie. Now I didn't like they changed some parts. They made it later in the movie that was in the book and things, which kind of annoyed me. But yeah, it's a very good movie. It has to be there, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. And Steve, what do you say about it? 2017.
I'm gonna save all my words for another for this. I'm gonna say yes.
Before we move on, just to recap, Vapian wants to know what other movies we've got here. So we've got Evil Dead 2013, The Invisible Man 2020, The Thing 82, and The Fly 86.
And now it.
And now it 2017. But Kiri, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Okay. I'm going to bring up another older one, and that is Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978 with Donald Sutherland. This movie is, I don't know, it's so good. I think it is so terrifying. We were rewatching it. We were trying to rewatch it again right before this. And there's just things I forgot about this movie. The ending sticks in my mind forever. That is so terrifying. You think Donald Sutherland's at least going to survive this movie, and no, he turns into one of them too. But just the atmosphere that's set up in this movie, everything from the score to like just the people standing like robots, it's so creepy and so good.
This is one that I've heard a lot about. I've heard a lot of people saying this is really good. I specifically tried to find this to watch for this. I didn't succeed, so I haven't seen this. Greg, what do you say about 78's Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Absolutely.
Steve, what do you say about Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78?
I mean, let me just say this. Yes, for sure. The fact that they even got Kevin McCarthy in a cameo from the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers was fucking awesome. Let's also read on the Sutherland. We had Brooke Adams, Jeff Goldblum, Leonard Nimoy, got Veronica Cartwright, just Art Hindle, for the love of God. Art Hindle.
Cast was awesome.
Cast was freaking awesome. I did definitely the ending it's nightmare inducing. It will just echo throughout your brain for months. So yeah, absolutely for sure, this deserves to be on there.
And Chad, what do you say about Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78?
Yeah, I really, really like this one as well. I'm interested to finish it again because it's been a while since I've seen it. But just like watching it recently, just hearing, especially as Carrie talking about like the unique score that it has, and then like the sound design with like the squeaking of the chairs at the very beginning, like really like unsettled me for like the rest of the movie. I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? Even though I already know what happens pretty much. But yeah, the ending is very iconic. I love the character building in it, and it just really like the themes of just someone getting impersonating is like just as good as like other movies like Changeling type lore and stuff like that. So love it. Yes.
So for my next one, there's a few on my list that I think are definitely going to come up at some stage.
Bye, Pooch.
But I'm going to go for one that I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I want to talk about it at least anyway, because I do like the recent remake of Child's Play. Because I think Mark Hamill did a good job of like doing his own kind of version of the Chucky voice. He wasn't trying to sort of um replace Brad Dourif. He wasn't trying to sort of be Brad Dourif. He was like, it was a voice. It was different, but he still, you could tell it was supposed to be Chucky anyway. But which is the important thing. But like, Aubrey Plaza's great in this. Like, this is one that like I was really going in that they'd updated Buddy and all that to be this kind of mechanical toy and all that. But for me, this is enjoyable. I think this is a really good remake. And yeah, Greg, what do you say about Child's Play 2019?
I'm not. No, I can't even. There was so much bad to it. I just can't. The only good thing was Mark Hamill's voice for me.
As I said, I knew this is probably going to go this
Oh,
way, but
absolutely. I have one that's coming up next it'll divide opinions too. So,
Steve, what do you say about Child's Play 2019?
I did not hate it. I did not hate the movie. I thought it was a really different interpretation of Child's Play, but it's hard to compare. I wish it would have been called something else besides Child's Play. If it was called something else besides Child's Play, I think it would have been. I think a lot of people would have liked it more, maybe. And
piggybacking.
yeah, and the fact, I mean, this could have been like Deadly Friend, a remake. I think this should have been Deadly Friend. If you guys know Deadly Friend, I mean, you get I'm going off the point. I'm going to go off the no. Sorry, stay on point. So yeah, I admire your inclusion of Child's Play, Malcolm, but I'm going to have to say no.
Chad, what do you say about Child's Play 2019?
You're my buddy. Yeah, no, this one we actually just watched for the first time for this. And I'm really glad we did because I was really excited to see it because I've heard some good things, some not good things. But then I think the original Child's Play as well as like the entire series, I don't think they're like masterpieces. I think those are ones that you can have a really fresh take on. Do I like what they did with not including Brad Dourif and kind of taking his baby away? I don't like the politics of all that and stuff like that and the business of it. But what we got from the movie, I agree. I really like Aubrey Plaza in this. I really like the little kid. The main kid in it. I think he was really excellent. And this had some of like the creepiest stuff I've seen in horror movies, like with the face, if you know what I'm talking about. That part really just unnerved me. And for the rest of the movie, I was just really creeped out. Like, what is going to happen? So a lot of the really like the kills, like I'm not a big person who's like, oh, the kills really made the movie for me. But like in this one, I just thought they were so creepy. They really unsettled me. And I was just really kind of terrified of that little doll. So, yeah, I would definitely say yes to Child's Play 2019.
Kiri, what do you say about Child's Play 2019?
Man, I didn't want to be the deciding vote on this.
Go with your heart.
Oh, my heart goes both ways because I don't know. In a lot of ways, there's things I would rather have on this list, but we are only at 6. I don't know. I thought it was interesting that this was a different story, but it was weird to me that it was a completely different story. Like I was obviously came in and expecting it would be, was it Charles Lee Ray or whatever his name is?
Yeah, like it wasn't like a possessed serial killer type of thing.
Yeah, it was really totally different. Really it was like the model design of Chucky.
It's like software hacking that made it evil.
The one thing I'll say to you before that, right? If you think about this movie being a remake, the fact that the TV show has come out and has already trumped.
Ooh, I need to see that.
How good the TV show is. Do you know what I mean? To the movie itself, it must show you that it wasn't as good as people are making it out to be. Now, I can't tell you your opinion, but that's just something to think about.
Well, I think this would have like barely made my list. It's not on my list that I was going to bring up, and I have more than 12 on here. So I think there are 6 other movies I would rather see on this list. So it's going to be a no. But it would have come close. It maybe would have been like
It didn't even make my list.
I liked it, Malcolm.
Theater.
Yeah, no, that's fair. As I said, it's definitely one that is all over the place. I know there are other people out there that really do like it. One thing I hope they do is they connect the remake in the this to in the TV show and just and make fun of it. Because I think it'll be fun. But anyway, Greg, was
Kill
the
off Mark
next one you're
Hamill.
gonna bring?
Have Mark Hamill appear as a guest show and kill him off.
Well,
That'd be a good idea, actually. That would be a very good idea. They won't do it, but it'd be a good idea. Right. You had dividing opinions on that one, right? I'm going to give you a very bold statement here. This, in my opinion, is better than the original. The original is 1978's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm going for the 03 remake, the Michael Bay one.
Steve, what do you say about the 2003 version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I don't hate the inclusion. I do not hate it. Do I want to include it on this list? I'm gonna have to say no because we talk about untouched masterpieces. Chad talked about Night of the Living Dead. Texas Chainsaw should never had a sequel. It should have just been by itself.
I didn't hate the sequel.
Right.
2 was okay.
No, it's all right. Don't get me wrong. The sequel is funny and it has a shitload of cool gore scenes, but like the fact just like it kept getting not as good as the first one.
It's diluted.
It's diluted. I love the fact that they included John Larroquette as the narrator again. I love that fact. And I mean, listen, as sorry, Carrie, but as a hot-blooded male in the 2000s, Jessica Biel, Raul. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that one. I have to say no.
Chad, what is about 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I think Steve was an avid watcher of Seventh Heaven back in the day. There you go.
Big Barry Watson fan.
I did see this, like I think, like right when it came out, and I don't know. I think I remember this one getting really into like the, crazy torture gore type of movie, which I think kind of gets away from like what the original was a little bit. Not that it doesn't have its own merits. I would like to rewatch this one and watch a lot of the other ones because there's so many I haven't seen. I'm not even like of the opinion that the original one is like, the greatest movie ever made, but I do think it's like one of the groundbreaking ones. So I wouldn't say there's so many movies that I think were so fantastic that should have never gotten any sequels. But I wouldn't personally put this on the list of top 12 remakes myself.
Kerry, what do you say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003?
I say yes. This was actually going to be my next one that I brought up. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I saw it when I was younger, like 12 or 13. It scared the living shit out of me. And, I think that's what a good horror remake should do. And I do remember like the special effects were really cool on this. I thought the changes to the story were interesting enough to make it, a decent interpretation. I think this is a great one. I would love to have it on this list.
She gets it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When you said Divisive and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I so thought you were going to go for the most recent one that came out.
That's not a remake though. That's a carry on.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was anyway. Unfortunately, I haven't seen this one. It's another one that I like because I think if Austin was here, he would agree with you. But yeah, unfortunately, I just haven't seen it. So unfortunately, it's not going to make this list. Steve, we go back to you.
All right, we're done with all this dark, grimy shit. Let's go with a light. Let's go with something a little pop, a little music. When I'm talking about music, there's hardly any horror musicals that can touch Little Shop of Horrors. Rick Moranis, Steve Martin, Ellen Green, Vincent Gardenia, John Candy, Christopher Guest, directed by Frank Oz, and let alone there was an alternate cut where the planet is overruled by plants. Now, is it a happy ending? No, it's not a happy ending, but it was a different cut that was released a decade ago, I believe, maybe a decade and a half ago, for home video distribution, and it's become more popular with that alternate ending. This was a remake of Roger Corman's movie, which was black and white, and which I also saw, and hardly could it's way different. But I mean, for me, the best scene in that movie is Steve Martin doing He Wants to Be a Dentist. And let's also include Bill Murray's scene in there too. So I mean, this for me is in the top 5 remakes of all time for me. Please, let's include Little Shop of Horrors here.
Chad, what do you say about Little Shop of Horrors?
Feed me. No, just kidding. No, I love this movie. This is absolutely on my list. I'm definitely saying yes. I cracked up because the whole Bill Murray part is like he wants him to like torture him or whatever with the dentist, which is really, really funny. I love the effects that they use in this. The music is great. Suddenly Seymour, like all these songs. I really if they bring back the musical, I really want to go see it because it's just such a great musical aside, but like also like horror, like it is pretty scary. Thinking about the creepy ass plant. So yeah,
body parts, chopping off Steve Martin's body parts and feeding it to the plant. I mean, if that's not horror, what is?
And bring back Rick Moranis because he's a treasure. So yes,
Canadian treasure.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in the new Little Shop of Horrors they're doing with Chris Evans, or they have Rick Moranis as the dentist, or the cameo one that's getting him in the dentist. Yeah.
In pain.
But Kerry, what do you say about Little Shop of Horrors 86?
Definitely yes. I think this is one of the great horror comedies and one of the few horror musicals that we have. Amazing movie.
Yeah, this is another one I struggled with a bit. Just like it, to me, this is technically not a remake, although I'm not like once again it gets thrown in there because yes, it is essentially a version of Little Shop of Horrors from the 1960s, but technically this is an adaptation of the Broadway musical, which that musical was the remake, which is it's kind of that loop. Once again, I'm not too as I said, I'm not going to say it doesn't count because it still counts because everyone else includes it. To me, I'm saying no for that reason, but I believe it's already made the list anyway. So yeah, Greg, what would you have said about Little Shop of Horrors?
I'd have went no. I didn't like it. It's the same as Rocky Horror Picture Show. I just never got into it.
That is fair.
It's just that's just me.
But with that, we go to Chad. Chad, what was your next nomination?
You're with me again.
Pressure now.
Yeah, I'm between two. I'm gonna go with. Now I'm between 3.
The middle one.
One on the right.
I'm gonna go with I believe 2011's Fright Night.
Colin Farrell.
The reason why is because I really, really love the original Fright Night. I also watched that very recently, and then watched the remake for this because I've been meaning to get to it. And the original is like really creepy. I really love the 80s vibe to it. But then this one, I think they did a fantastic job with making it different. Like they set it like more in the suburbs. Like it's not like in a creepy house. It's like just like all the houses look the same in the desert. Yeah, freaking Toni Collette in it, and the late great Anton Yelchin, rest in peace. Just a lot of really, really great. Oh, and Colin Farrell. is the villain. And there's just some really great filmmaking in this, some really great creepy stuff. Like they have like a tracking shot in a car, and I'm like, I don't know how many they did before that, like where it's like really like a lot of great action sequences in horror films back then or before. And then some of the creepy stuff, like there's that like one part where the vampire gets hit or stabbed or something, and then he's like just kind of writhing on the ground, and it's like I don't know how the hell they did that, but it's creepy as hell. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one, Fright Night.
Kiri, what do you say about Fright Night?
Oh, I'm sorry, Chad. I think I'm gonna say no to this one. I actually didn't. I don't know. It was fine. I liked it a little bit better than the original. But which is probably blasphemy to say, I know. But I do think the cast and some of the filmmaking techniques were the best part about this movie. There were like a lot of periods in this movie where I was just kind of bored and I thought it was lagging a little bit. And maybe that's just because we watched the original. I knew it was going to happen, but I don't know. I would say there are other things I would rather make this list.
But yeah, once again, this is another one of those random horror movies that's on Disney Plus for outside the States.
That's so
but yeah, though there's a few of them. Like we've got the Omen on here as well. Yeah. This is another one I watched for the first time for this because I've heard a lot of people sort of hyping this up. And yeah, it is actually a pretty good remake. Like I really enjoyed David Tennant in this. I think he was entertaining. And it's one of those ones like like there's a few people I didn't realize was in this like McLovin was like so the only one I knew for sure was in this was Colin Farrell, but then like everyone else sort of popped in and recognized some other things. Like, well, this cast is actually really stacked. But yeah, this is an easy yes for me. Greg, what do you say about Fright Night?
So as much as I enjoyed the novelty of this with all the cameos and stuff, there's 5 spaces left on this list, and there are definitely 5 better movies we can find than Fright Night. I'm gonna go no, Sheely, because I believe there's 5 better ones that we'll get. It was enjoyable though.
Which means it falls on Steve. Steve, what do you say about Fright Night?
Oh my God, Chad said Friday night. Malcolm said yes. Carrie said no. No. What to do? What to do?
Say no.
You already said my answer for me, Greg. Sorry, Chad.
Not that it was a bad movie. It was actually a good pick.
Yeah.
I didn't expect much of it when it was coming out, but
There's much better remakes, in our opinions, I guess.
yeah.
But with that, we go over to Kiri. Kiri, what is your next nomination?
Okay, I'm gonna throw out mine. That's probably controversial and a bit of a stretch, and probably everyone will say no, but we'll see. Anyone else? And this is one. So it's the Grudge remake from 2004, not the most recent one. The one from 2004. That was
Sarah Michelle Gellar one, is it?
Sarah Michelle Gellar one. Big Buffy fan, but
Oh yeah.
I think this one's so interesting because it's the same director as Ju-on. I think the changes he made to it were interesting and effective. Like this movie isn't a shot for shot of Ju-on. It's kind of a similar, basically the same story, but a little bit different. I think he made enough changes to make it a little bit more presentable and popular with American audiences. But I think the core of it stayed really true. I don't know. This is just one I saw when I was very young, like right when it came out. And again, it just scared the crap out of me. And so I'm throwing it out there.
Fair.
Yeah, this is one I'm not too sure if I've seen it or not. It's definitely not one that I've logged on. I'd logged on Leadbox at all. So so just for that reason, I'm just going to say no, just because I'm not too sure if I've seen it and I don't really remember it. Greg, what do you say about The Grudge?
You stole my next pick.
Oh.
I wanted to make sure it was the right one because if you had said the 2021, I was like, no. But the 2004 one, I only rewatched it there probably back in May for the first time since it came out, and it held up quite well. Now it's nothing compared to Ju-On, absolutely not. But it's a very good remake. I'm gonna go yes.
Steve, what do you say about 2004's The Grudge?
He gets it. He gets it.
So yeah, I had to do that. Come on, guys. Yeah, this movie scared the shit out of me. I have to agree with Carrie. But the fact it's just that I like Ju-On a lot better, and I think there are more movies on here that we can still explore. So I'm gonna put the pressure back on Chad. So I'm gonna say no.
But Chad, what do you say about The Grudge?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in Steve's camp where I think that, or whoever said that Ju-On is definitely better. I've seen
Everyone.
of this. You know, I really love Sarah Michelle Gellar so much. I think she was a great ad. I wish she was in more stuff, well, in more like non-animated stuff, I guess. But I don't know. This one's hard. I'll say yes.
Okay, nice. Not mad.
It does make the list. But yeah, it comes back to me. And for my next one, I'm gonna stick on this this train for a minute because I really enjoyed 2002's The Ring, done by Gore Verbinski. Because this is one that like I haven't seen the original, so I just sort of in this blind, but this is one that it was and to me it was an interesting premise just because like a videotape that merged you in a week if you'd watch it, but yeah, this is one that I think is really good. Like I was going to actually watch it for this, just see if it holds up, but I didn't get around to it. But I'm still going. But I do remember really liking this. I think Naomi Watts is great in this. And Kerry Boy Martin Henson is also good in it too. But Greg, what do you say about 2002's The Ring?
Well, after The Grudge got taken, this was next on the list for me. So once the J horror started, I was like, yeah, this is the next one that's gonna go. This is absolutely a yes for me. I love this. It's not as good as Ring U, but it's very good. Might be a bit long, but
Yeah.
Steve, what do you say about The Ring?
This is actually on my list, so I'm gonna have to definitely include on that one. This movie, I just imagine how old I was. I was like 13 years old at the time. So you're walking in 13th year, your mom drops you off in front of the movie theater, and you buy a ticket to The Ring, and you just will sit in the movie theater, and lights go off, and then you just see the images. This is after it's like 20 minutes into the movie because you don't know what the images are until Naomi Watts watches it. So you just see these bizarre images flash across the screen, and they literally make as much sense as putting popcorn on waffles. But I'm gonna definitely have to say yes. And by the way, let's also include the great Brian Cox in that movie because he delivered another performance in a short amount of time that he had in that movie.
Brian Cox is a great actor, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one thing I will say is before we go on to Chad, On the DVD for this, they had a Easter egg in which they actually play the actual video. I used that for many pranks back in the day.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, I even completed it with bringing them 7 days later, doing the whole voice. The first few times, it got to a point where I just couldn't do it without laughing, and so I ended up just stopping it. Then, but yeah,
Right.
Chad, what do you say about the ring?
Yeah, Ringu actually brought kind of like that J horror craze, and I really enjoyed Ringu. I watched that recently for the first time, and I like the stuff that they do with like the buckets, which they didn't do in this one, which I thought was maybe a shame, but I also like that they did different stuff. I really do enjoy Naomi Watts in this movie, but I enjoy her in pretty much everything. And I also don't think that the little girl is as creepy as the original movie, but those little things are my only negatives. I think a lot of the other stuff, I really like how they do the research stuff. I really like the little boy. I think he is pretty creepy, like his big eyes, and like he's like, she never sleeps, and just that stuff I just think is like, whoa, okay. It's like really creepy. So I would say yes for The Ring.
By the way, played by Divide Chase, who was the voice of Lilo in Lilo and Stitch.
Oh,
And
cool.
also was the little sister in Donnie Darko.
Oh, that's right. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Oh yeah, as soon as I found that out, I couldn't watch Lilo and Stitch the same way again. But Kiri, what do you say about The Ring?
Yeah, I say yes to this one. I have a similar story to Steve's. This was like the second horror movie I ever saw in theaters. My dad took me for my 11th birthday, and I'm sitting there like watching Naomi Watts watching this videotape, thinking I'm gonna die now in 7 days. Like my dad's laughing at me, but it scared me so badly. And we rewatched it for this. It didn't hold up for me as much, especially after actually watching Ringu, but I think it is still a really solid remake.
Sweet baby.
But but with that, we move over to Greg. Greg, what's the next movie you're going to bring up?
Right. Well, now it's getting a bit closer, and by the time it comes back to me, we could be finished. So I'm gonna have to put a big one in here. I've got to go Cape Fear. Robert De Niro.
Forgot about that too. Jesus Christ.
Steve, what do you say about Cape Fear?
Yeah, man, Martin Scorsese, fucking yeah, that's crazy. I like there. It was what was it? So it was Cape Fear, and there was one other movie that we have on the list that I forgot was even a remake. It was what was it? Invisible Man. I even forgot that was a remake because I'm like, oh, whatever.
There's about 15 of those Invisible Men though. Like Universal used it so often.
Yeah, but at least this last time out they used it the proper way. Unlike Paul Verhoeven, if you know what I mean. So yes, I'm gonna have to definitely include it because, boy, I mean, people are gonna be like, I'm gonna see. I already see the arguments like that's not horror; it's more thriller. Listen, Silence of the Lambs is horror.
Oh yeah,
this is horror. The fact that you have a felon coming after his lawyer and just going to the most depraved state of psychosis just to one-up him, or even just, and the last resort is to kill him. That's his last resort. And he doesn't do that. He just leaves him to go crazier and crazier and crazier. And then he wants to go kill him.
Nick Nolte was fabulous in this.
Julia Lewis was awesome too.
Yeah.
Julia Lang, Robert, the guy from Walking Tall, John Don Baker. We even had the cameo from Gregory Peck and
Robert Mitchum.
So yes.
And I love the fact that Robert Mitchum gets killed in this, considering he was the bad guy in the original one.
Yeah.
Also, just on a side tangent, I meant to bring this up when we were talking about The Ring. One of the actors in the original Ring was the same guy that played Scorpion in the recent Mortal Kombat movie, and
yeah,
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah,
Mm.
he's a legend.
But Chad, what do you say about Cape Fear?
I mean, I was fully prepared to sit here and go, I'm not saying yes to anything unless it's on my list. Sorry. But then Greg came out with one that I hadn't considered. It didn't come up on like any like lists I was looking at when preparing for this, trying to figure out like, what could be something to be on a horror list. I totally think that's a horror movie, and I totally think it's one of Scorsese's like underrated movies. I really agree. So yeah, Greg with the pulling out a gym from nowhere for me, and I'm like, oh yeah, Cape Fear. I forgot about that one. I would say yes for sure, just because I think Scorsese did a great job with this. I really like a lot of Scorsese's like non like mob stuff. I think he does a really great horror thriller. And yeah, Robert De Niro is like excellent in this. He's so scary. So yeah, Cape Fear, I would say yes to.
Kiri,
Hey,
what
by
do
the
you
way,
say
shot
about-
in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right on my neck of the woods. How about that?
Yeah, definitely say yes to this one. This was on my list as well. And I was actually hesitant to bring it up because I was worried everyone was going to be like, "Oh, this isn't really a horror." But I definitely think it's a horror movie. I think it's as much of a horror movie as any like home invasion, anything where the killer's, just a person going crazy. Yeah, this movie is amazing. The acting in it is incredible.
This also is one of them ones that's 100% better than the original.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, it's going to make this list regardless of what I say. I haven't actually seen this.
Oh,
This
I'm
was
so jealous. I am so jealous you haven't seen that.
I mean, but this is another one that, like Chad, I looked up a whole bunch of things to like see what can I watch for the first time for this. This is one that just didn't come up a lot. Like I think it's officially classed as a psychological thriller, but like thrillers come fall under these under horror anyway. So like but yeah, it's on the list anyway. But yeah, Steve, what is your next nomination?
Ooh, I'm gonna go into this one because like I have 4 choices. I ranked them, but then I had a switch. I switched 1 to 2. Now it's 2 to 1. So I'm going with 1988's The Blob. This movie, directed by Chuck Russell, who in the previous year directed a Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie of all time.
False.
And
False.
well,
It's up there.
we'll agree to disagree. You also have Shawnee Smith before she was in the Saw movies. You had Kevin Dillon before Entourage. You even had Jeffrey DeMunn before working on The Walking Dead. This movie is absolutely overtakes the original. It blows the Steve McQueen movie out of the fucking water with awesome effects, cool technology at the time, and just good old fashioned fun. And what says fun than a big old pink blob trying to destroy everybody and swallowing their skin? So The Blob, 1988.
Chad, what do you say about The Blob from '88?
Yeah, this is one we actually just watched for this, and I'm so glad we did because I really enjoyed it as well. I think Chuck Russell, not Truck Russell, did a really great job with this. The effects, I agree, are so great. I was just like, wow, okay. I definitely do want to watch the original though, just because like the classic vibe of it. But this one is just kind of like really just great, like practice, kind of like The Thing, like great practical monster effects. And I love the character stuff in it. You're really like, hoping some of these people make it out. And there's like one death that really surprised me, like towards the end, and I was like, no, okay.
Everyone knows what that one is.
Oh yeah, man, that one just what the hell? Did they just do what I think they did?
Yeah, no, but it's a really fun movie. Exactly everything Steve said. So yes.
And Kiri, what do you say about The Blob?
I say yes to this as well. It was on my list. I think like everyone has said, the special effects are amazing in this, and they hold up surprisingly well. So.
I mean, I think the Simpsons Treasure of Horror version of the Blob is the better one, but no, I honestly, like, I make the joke because I haven't seen the 80th of this one. This is another one that I tried to find for this, just couldn't find it, just because I knew that this is really highly regarded, and a lot of people have been suggesting it to watch for various things.
Malcolm Shout Factory is doing a sale. The Blu-ray's available. It's for like $10.
I mean, it might be a little bit more when you convert.
Criterion too.
Maybe they have some. Maybe they have a Shout Factory down in your neck of the woods. I don't know. We'll see.
But anyway, it's main list anyway. Greg, what did you have said about the Blob?
I actually love this movie. I had the pleasure to interview Nick Benson, who done the special effects for this.
Nice.
For the horror show that we have on the slab. We got to sit down with Nick and have a chat about some of the stuff. He actually worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and stuff as well. But like the movie's just so good, and the effects still hold up really well. So it would have been a yeah for me.
But with that, the Blob makes the list, and we've only got one spot left. Chad, what is the movie you're going to bring up?
One spot left, huh? All right. Shit. I'm still between two here.
Oh, which one do you like better?
That's a good question. All right. I'm gonna go with okay, I'm gonna go with one I watched recently. I'm gonna go with Suspiria from 2018. This one, I think it kind of goes on a little long, but that's really like my only kind of like downside to this one, because I love what who directed it again? I love the director
Guadagnino.
Luca
Guadagnino. That's right. Thank you. I love what he did with this one. I love the original one. I love the giallo style, the color scheme, and all that stuff that Italian.
Gallo.
Thank you. I apologize. But this one I think is really fantastic. I love the cast. I love the score. It was done by Tom York of Radiohead fame, one of my favorite bands. And I just love a lot of the scares in this. It's just a very creepy, some great body horror. That actually caused one of my friends to have to leave the theater.
She literally passed out.
Yeah, because there's just like really great body horror that it's just very scary. And there's a very extended sequence at the very end that is very creepy and has like a little bit of a twist there that I just think is really great. But I just love the story of it, and I just think it's a really good movie. So Suspiria.
Kerry, what do you say about Suspiria?
Oh, yeah, I forgot I was next. This is tough because trying to think if this is the one I want to make it. I'll go ahead and say yes. I think this was a really great remake. I thought it was an interesting take on the original. Just kind of basically the same core story, but a lot of it was different enough that I thought that was a really unique remake.
Tilda Swinton for the win.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, just because I'm looking at what I've got sort of higher than this. I think there's at least one that I've got higher than this that I think deserves to be on here. And I know there's some people who will probably yell at us for not including it. I'm saying no, but
those people. Fuck those people.
Well, that, and I'm actually not that high on Suspiria either. I thought it was
okay.
fine.
That one, that
argument
you should go more than the people factor, because I just do this to piss people off. Like I'm hoping that people just do that, and it's just like wait for the feedback, because it's like the Colin Robinson feeding off the negative energy. That's me when it comes to the comments after I appear on a show. Like, yeah.
Go ahead and give them the middle finger, Steve, for us, please. There you go.
I gave Carrie, chat.
But yeah, I mean, I always go for how I feel about it anyway. I don't use the people argument. I'll just say there's a few that I think deserve to be on it anyway. Greg, what do you say about Suspiria?
Didn't like the original, so I didn't bother with this one. So I can't even say I've seen it.
Anyway, Steve, it falls on you.
Again.
I'm not gonna back off from this. When I want negative energy, I want negative energy. Let's put this motherfucker on the list.
This motherfucker's finishing 12th on the list. Like that's what's gonna knock out the likes of Dawn of the Dead and stuff.
I would have said no to Dawn of the Dead. I do not like.
No, well, I'm just going off one.
That one.
I mean, you have the crazies. There's countless Draculas that have been remade.
Yeah, I did want to get Dracula on here.
Do you know what I mean? So like, there's the last point. If you're gonna change it.
Well, yeah. I mean, unfortunately he has said yes. Like, unless he says very quickly before I move on, but but Kerry, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Oh, right. So the next one I would have brought up would have been Let Me In. I don't think as good as the original, but very solid remake. I was also thinking of bringing up 1958's Dracula, aka The Horror of Dracula. I think that's just a great classic Hammer horror film.
Christopher Lee. Is it the Christopher Lee one?
Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, both of that. Really great. If I really wanted to throw a wrench in things, because I love this movie, but I know so many people hate it, 2016's Ghostbusters.
Love it.
Yes.
The Mummy, although that's not really the Brendan Fraser one, not the Tom.
Can I leave now after hearing that she wanted to put Ghostbusters in?
Look, I didn't. I probably wouldn't have.
If it had got in, it'd have been a travesty.
Would have been a lot of hate.
I would have said yes.
Controversial.
Nice.
And then last thing I'll say is we actually just watched it today. The new Hellraiser remake that came out. I thought that was pretty solid.
I don't think it's a remake.
It's a remake. Yeah, it is.
Are they calling it a remake now?
They're calling it a reboot or a remake.
Sorry, I missed the movie.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those tricky ones. Like Hellraiser is the reason I put horror remakes in the poll for last week. But yeah,
it's under IMDb as remake of Hellraiser. So
yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones. There's a lot of these remakes which are very tricky nowadays.
It has like version, like I totally understand the argument, Malcolm, because there's like you look on IMDb, which is mostly where the information I usually get. I mean, I'm the human IMDb at this point, but like it's like version of or adaptation of like whatever it's an adaptation or version of. It's still coming from the source material, so in a way, whether it's a version remake or adaptation, it's still considered a remake in all across the
I will say something about the remake. Jamie Clayton was fantastic as Pinhead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what I haven't watched it yet. I wanted to watch Night of the Living Dead before Hellraiser, and also wanted to give some more time until maybe another like 2 years. Do we do like another recount of horror, and then maybe time will be kind to it, and then we can include it on the list next time.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say if you brought up 2016's Ghostbusters and it made the list, I'm pretty sure we would have had comments like we had last week with horror comedies like, is Ghostbusters really horror? Well, I mean, that and the fact that people just don't like the movie anyway. I personally didn't hate 2016's Ghostbusters. So
I really like
it. But with that being said, for me, some of the other mentions I would have brought up, like, I actually really like the Omen 666, the one that came out in 2006.
Yeah, with Lee Schreiber and Julia Stiles.
Yeah, I did like that. Like 2004's Dawn of the Dead is one I would have brought up. One that I'm not too sure if it counted because he basically remade a short story he did anyway. Tim Burton's Frankenweenie is one that came up on a lot of lists, but it's one of those ones that I included it on mine. But it's definitely one of those ones.
I would have been mad. I'd be happy to see. I would have been happy to see that if we were playing around with that. I wouldn't have been mad about that.
Yeah, and for me, I actually really enjoyed the remakes of The Haunting, Poltergeist, and Carrie. But I thought they were actually pretty. I didn't hate them. And one that
oh look, the pooch is back.
And the last one I will mention because it came up on the list. Like I was considering 99's The Mummy, because like once again it came up as a horror remake, even though I personally don't consider it one. But yeah, but Greg, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
I had The Mummy, the 99 one. I'd put it down. It's more action adventure, but it's a running story of Universal's Mummy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had Dawn of the Dead. I had 13 Ghosts. Let Me In, My Bloody Valentine, Last House on the Left, House of Wax. One that I was going to bring up was Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 92 one with Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Which is the best portrayal of Dracula, in my opinion. And then one that probably not a lot of people have seen is The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Yeah. I saw the original one. I wasn't a big fan of the original. It was just so like it's there. It's just random.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good though.
Yeah.
But Steve, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
I definitely there has already been mentioned Dawn of the Dead. It's just the fact that I love the interpretation of Down with the Sickness just makes that movie the best.
So good, isn't it?
So fucking good. I actually that would have been my next pick if I didn't take Suspiria, but negative energy.
It wouldn't have got to it. It was my next pick.
I would have agreed with you. Let Me In. I saw Let Me In was great. I think it was better than the Let the Right One In. Much better.
No, I don't think so.
Hey, my opinion, bro. Just putting it out there. Let's see. For sure, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think the only thing that was terrible about that movie was Keanu Reeves' accent. Terrible.
Oh, so bad.
I would have been one of the few people to put Friday the 13th on here, if I had a chance. And The Crazy's underrated remake that nobody really needs to keep new eyes on because I believe it had Timothy Oliphant and Melissa George.
Yeah, I actually had The Crazies on my list as well. Good movie.
Chad, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Yeah, it was actually between Suspiria and Let Me In. Those were the two that I was trying to think of. And then I was like, oh, it's the last one. And I was like, because it's been a while since I've seen Let Me In. I do love Let the Right One In so much but I was like, oh, Matt Reeves though. But then I was like, you know what? Suspiria was really cool and unique. And I think they did a lot of really good changes there. Hellraiser, I did really like. Check that one out, the new Hellraiser, because I thought it was pretty good, but it is very new. So I was hesitant to like, has anyone really seen it other than I came out like last night?
Yeah, it dropped yesterday, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was playing around with maybe bringing up Evil Dead 2 because it's both is and isn't a remake of the original Evil Dead. And it was actually shamefully not brought up on the horror comedies, and Army of Darkness was, which I totally disagree with. I'd love to see both of them, but
it's a superior movie.
I kind of wanted to bring up Evil Dead 2, but then I was like, that's probably going to get shut down. So.
I actually had Evil Dead 2 was the last name on mine, and I knew I had the Evil Dead the 13 one, and I was like, will I be out there now and throw Evil Dead 2 in because it's a remake of Evil Dead 1?
Yeah.
Damn it. I would have been. I didn't include it on my list because I wasn't sure how that would have gone with the.
I should have shot my shit. The next time I will. Next time I will.
We'll do it in a couple of years from now when we can include the new Hellraiser on that list too.
Yeah, I haven't seen Hellraiser. As far as I know, it's not coming to Disney Plus for me and Greg. Because I know it's Hulu. I'm just not sure we're getting it outside of that. Also, I will think that if Friday the 13th, 2009 was brought up, what would people have said?
No.
Fair enough.
Because in the comments, it's enjoyable. I would have said yes personally. Friday the 13th, 2009. Yeah, fun fact. Friday the 13th, 2009 controversially made our best horror movies of the 2000s.
That was a fun
What?
But yeah. So I can't remember who was on that panel, but there was
Me.
enough people that really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was enough people that really
Wait,
enjoyed
they
that.
said best was horror film of 2000s.
Yeah.
That the fact that it's okay. All right, I'm gonna
Jacob Barber.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut. So
But
I'm
anyway,
not getting into that one.
yeah, let's not get into
Yeah.
it. I feel like me and Greg are about to tag team Jacob Barber in the handicap match here. But let's move on because that's ridiculous.
But anyway,
He gets it. Wait, did Trick or Treat make that list?
I think it did.
I would
That's
hope
okay then.
Yeah.
Okay, it balances. It's balanced to the list.
But anyway, just to recap the 12 movies we have that we're ranking on this: got Evil Dead 2013, Invisible Man 2020, The Thing 82, The Fly 86, It 2017, Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78, Little Shop of Horrors 86, The Grudge 2004, The Ring 2002, Cape Fear 91, The Blob 88, and Suspiria 2018. But Greg, what do you have for 12?
12 would be Suspiria.
Steve,
Give me a second. I'm writing it down. I'm
you
putting
can
The Grudge.
The Grudge. Chad,
I'm fine with The Grudge.
Kira,
I said Suspiria.
I also have Suspiria.
Woo!
Suspiria, it's gonna be 12.
It's only because I haven't seen it, so
Fair.
It's
At least-
all right.
hey, at least it's on the list. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Talk about my buddy. This is my buddy here. My buddy.
That's weird, Steve.
Well, hey man, I do like a lot of trivia. This is my no, I don't. I have real buddies. They just this is the one that's close.
they're just in my head.
One that's closest to me. Literally right now. Look, see, it's right close to me.
Steve, what do you have for 11?
Grudge.
He's determined to get that in there, late.
Yeah, I also said The Grudge.
Kiri.
I said The Ring, the other J horror.
I put The Invisible Man 2020. Greg.
I have Little Shop of Horrors.
But The Grudge is going to be 11. I know, no idea why the dash is there, but it's staying there. But Chad, what do you have for 10?
The Ring.
Kiri.
Yeah, I stayed with The Ring.
I'm sticking with The Invisible Man. Greg.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Steve.
It.
No.
The Ring is going to be 10.
Yes.
Now it gets hard for me. Okay.
Right.
Kiri, what do you have for 9?
I have the Blob.
I've got the Invisible Man. Greg.
Malcolm has no marker left. No, Invisible Man here. I'm gonna change it away from Little Shop of Horrors.
Steve.
It.
The Blob.
So we've got the Blob and the Invisible Man. Steve, you're the odd man out. Which one do you want at 9?
Blob.
Fuck.
I feel I should have been more prepared and got a whiteboard.
That's all good. I mean, it's one of those ones like
We're like
I can't.
Yeah, we're trivia at like me, Carrie, Malcolm, we're all like whiteboardists because we're trivia players. So like this becomes our tool of trade. So we have a marker. I can't say much about Malcolm about having a marker because it's literally dying on his last breath there.
I'm lucky to have a pen here.
Hey, a pen and paper would do in some trivia leagues, but whiteboards.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what. Anyway, Greg, what do you have for 8?
Invisible Man.
Steve.
It.
Chad.
Yeah, I'll go with It.
Kerry.
I also went with It.
All right.
I've got the Invisible Man.
There we go.
Okay.
It is going to be.
Now I'm getting too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing about sticking on one movie, I save marker by not writing anything down. But Steve, what do you have for 7?
Evil Dead.
Chad.
I'll go Evil Dead as well.
Kerry.
I have Little Shop of Horrors.
I've got the Invisible Man. Greg.
Little Shop of Horrors for me.
So 2 Evil Deads, 2 Little Shop of Horrors, which means I'm the odd one out. And just like always, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to put it in banner, and when you see it, you'll know what is going to be.
All right.
Just because it falls on me,
The fact that he's still typing, it's Little Shop.
And you'll see what
Oh,
it
it's
is.
tied?
Yeah, and it's taken forever, so it probably is.
Maybe I'm just typing a lot to throw you off the scent.
Erase that.
Little Shop of Horrors is a long title. I mean,
Oh.
But yeah, it is.
fair.
Okay.
But Chad, what do you have for 6?
Yeah, I'm fine with Evil Dead here.
Kerry.
I put Cape Fear.
Oh.
Still sticking with the Invisible Man. Greg.
Invisible Man here.
Evil Dead. Carrie.
Oh dear.
Kerry, Evil Dead or the Invisible Man at 6.
God, this is a hard choice.
Is it? Is it?
It is for me.
Okay.
These are like 2 of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I'll say Evil Dead.
Yes.
Sadly, I don't know. I love them both.
Don-
I have a funny feeling I know where Malcolm is voting for the next one.
I mean, the same thing I've been voting since
number 11.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones like, if you feel strongly about a movie, I'm not going to change it.
It's true.
I mean, there's been a few times in which like I've changed it because I've seen it's not going there, but in this case, I like one of my working pens fell on the floor because can't be bothered picking it up. Kerry, what do you have at 5?
Sticking with Cape Fear.
Sticking with the Invisible Man. Greg.
Invisible Man.
Steve.
Cape Fear.
Chad.
Cape Fear.
Oh no,
Fear
no,
is gonna be
no.
five.
Okay.
Now, guys, now is the time to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
The fact that it finishes it above Cape Fear is a joke.
Oh,
Look, judging by the way people talked about the Invisible Man movie, I'm not too surprised it's making it this.
Hold on, what's
it.
left? We have The Fly.
We've got the Invisible Man, the Thing, the Fly, and Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78.
Oh, that okay. Oh, the top 4. That's right. Okay.
Mhm.
But Kiri, what do you have for 4?
All right, I'm surrendering. The Invisible Man.
there you go.
The Invisible Man, Greg,
Yeah, Invisible Man.
Steve.
Hold on. Let's make it personal. The Invisible Man.
And Chad.
Considering Invisible Man's my number 1, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, interesting. That's your number 1.
It's the best movie on the list.
That's also false.
I
Cape
said-
Fear,
correct.
Cape Fear is definitely the best movie on it.
Well, it's either that or The Thing.
No, I know. The Thing is the best. Come on, man.
No, well, in terms of movie, the Cape Fear is probably the best movie on it.
Okay.
I mean, maybe once I see Cape Fear, I will agree. I haven't seen it, so I don't have an opinion on it.
Oh, it's John Cena. Got it.
What?
The joke.
But Greg, what do you have for number 3?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Steve,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Chad,
Yep.
Kiri.
Same here. Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I mean, I haven't seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers, so I went The Fly, but Invasion of the Body Snatchers is going to be
Oh,
number
no.
3.
Oh no!
But
now we have
this
the tough one.
instead of doing our number 2, we're going straight to number 1.
Right.
Oh wait, we didn't do. We just did 3.
Right.
Okay.
Now we got
That was number 3. It's a long time, so it's taking me a while to make the benefit.
I do think this is the right top 30. in my opinion.
If this is like get a clean sweep.
That's one jump number 4.
I mean, considering no one's tried putting it on the list, it might be a clean sweep.
Yeah, I was talking about our number 1 movie.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Considering no one has tried putting it early on, it probably is going to be a clean sweep. But Steve, what do you have for number 1?
Number 1 is The Thing, baby.
Chad.
The Fly. Psych.
Yeah.
The Thing.
I was almost going to keep The Fly on my board just to but the thing, Greg.
Nice.
Nice.
Clean sweep.
Yes.
Thing.
As it says when it came out, it's the best remake of any genre.
Period. The best. Period.
Yeah. Absolutely. John Carpenter is an absolute genius.
And he's funny as fuck too. You seen those videos where he's like he picked on somebody about what was it? It's one of his movies he made, or some shit like that. But he's funny as fuck. He's playing with like the little toy instrument. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
I want to see him in concert. That would be fun.
But with that being said, our top 12 horror remakes at 12, we've got Suspiria. At 11, we've got The Grudge. At 10, we got The Ring. At 9, we got The Blob. At 8, we got It. At 7, we got Little Shop of Horrors. At 6, we got Evil Dead. At 5, we got Cape Fear. At 4, we got The Invisible Man. At 3, we got Invasion of the Body Snatchers. At 2, we got The Fly. At 1, we got The Thing. And yeah, but with that being said, that is the show for today. I'll have a poll up in the next few minutes of the options that will be on there for what you want next week's topic to be. But Greg, where can people find you online?
You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We have 2 different shows. So we have On the Slab Horror, which is all your horror needs that come out every Friday, and a couple of extra content videos in the month of October, and then Retrotainment Recast, on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, where we recast old movies with actors of today in a game show style, where you'd battle against each other. So say like you had Con Air and you wanted to cast Nicolas Cage, say one picks Sebastian Stan, the other picks somebody else. A judge will pick who he thinks is the best, and you get the point for it.
Interesting.
And the best points, then most points wins at the end.
I like that.
Yeah, no one mentioned Let Me In, Chris. I haven't seen
One,
it, so
two.
it wasn't going to be one that's going to
Well, I mean, we did mention it in honorable.
in honorable mentions, but
It was,
yeah,
it was the next pick to come out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was gonna be my next.
I should
one.
have said that one. It's so good.
Yeah, for me, my next one would have been Dawn of the Dead. So, but Steve, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Facebook at Steve Mesa. I run the only production company that does professional wrestling in Florida, Mesa Media. You can check me out on Instagram at smesa85. But most importantly, I like to promote my friend Manda Micro, who streams horror. She streams horror movies on Thursdays, streams wrestling on Saturday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So if you guys can please just subscribe to twitch.tv/Manda_Micro. She will give you all of your wrestling horror movie needs.
Chad, where can people find you online?
Yeah, I'll let Carrie bring up our horror show that we do, but you can find me on Letterboxd, Chadwick Webb. But the main things that I do, I have my own channel, just also Chadwick Webb on YouTube, where we like rank things like Edgar Wright, Harry Potter. We just did Denis Villeneuve, and we're gonna do MCU season 4, phase 4 after Wakanda Forever drops. Have a really good time there. And I also on my buddy's channel, Dill Randazzo, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. We do a show called Picture This, where every month we do a year of Best Pictures. So we do a year, we watch the films that were nominated for Best Picture. We rank them, talk about the Oscar ceremony, talk about the actors and actresses from that year. We have a really good time doing it. This month we're doing 1991 in honor of The Silence of the Lambs. Its horror classification was called into question at some point, or it's often called into question, which is a travesty. But I'm looking forward to talking about that one, as well as the other films that were nominated, like Beauty and the Beast. So check that one out. Also I like to throw out there, check out over at TMG the movie Battleground, because I do a lot of debating over there. It's very, very fun. And I'd like it to get more views, because it's a really great time. You can submit questions and see them fought heatedly, or maybe not so heatedly sometimes. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
And Kiri, where can people find you online?
So Chad and I do a horror show on YouTube with our friend Hunter Chambliss from Nerd Entertainment Network. It's called Welcome to Primetime, and we cover just random topics in the horror genre every week. And Chad and I are also doing like a 61 Days of Horror in September and October to celebrate the spooky season. If you want to check out what we're watching, I have a list on Letterboxd at English Slightfest.
And you can find me on Take Few Productions, where I host Rankum every week. I'll be have the poll up in a bit. And you can also find me over on Full Metal Trivia. I host trivia matches every week. Next week we've got a match on Avatar and Chris Evans and NBA. But until next time, keep listening shit, and once I find something to go out.